Hello, people of Earth. It is Nat from Spaceships. So the last year, we haven't really been able to do the thing that bands do, which is get together and write songs and go out and play songs and do all those things. And so decided instead, maybe we could start doing some YouTube things going on over here. And so today, I'm going to be giving a rig rundown of my setup, because that is probably far and away the biggest thing anybody talks to us about, is just the effects we have, the sheer amount of pedals we use, the tones that we get. We completely know and own the fact that we are a tone band. So today I'm going to be giving a rundown of my rig. Hopefully we're going to have some other stuff coming soon, talking to Ben and Brett and see what Joel's got going on and get some more stuff going on his YouTube page. But here first, let's take a look at my thing. I'm going to give a tour and then maybe do some demos. Yeah, all right. The pedal board itself was built by Cripe Pedalboards. It's the brand of Ben Cripe, who's a great guitarist and woodworker here in South Bend. Made it custom. Has integrated input over here, integrated power, output jacks. There's one little switch right here that's all my master power, and then I have everything running to all of my power supplies, which are underneath everything. Got a power conditioner and stuff like that to keep my power clean. So here is my pedal board in all its glory, but I will tell you right now that just looking here, you will miss one important thing, and that is the very first thing that it comes in is to this option 5 destination bump boost, because I got a whole lot of pedals, and so I want to get rid of any tone suck, and so that is under my board, always on. All right, so that out of the way, let's talk about all the real tone that comes in here. There's a game I like to play with people that is called Guess My Signal Chain, and no one ever does, because none of this is lined up the way that the signal chain is. Almost none of it. Some of it is. First things first, out of the boost, it comes into this little EQ pedal. I just got this. It's just a little cheapo that I got online for like $30. This is the, I don't even know what brand that is. But I just got a Baritone guitar, which is really cool, really gnarly. Gonna have some really heavy stuff coming up later. But it's a very different frequency range of the rest of the instruments because it's tuned an entire string down. And so I just have this to compensate for switching between theirs without needing to adjust everything as I go, as I switch guitars. And it's a really good tool if you're going to switch between guitars a lot on your pedal board and you don't want to tweak every single knob between them, because every guitar is different. Every guitar is going to put out a different tone, and every guitar is going to have a different setup that's going to sound right through a bunch of your pedals, especially if you're doing a lot of dirt like I am. It's just good to have an EQ there to sort of tame things between, so you don't need to take all that time. From there, it goes into the visual sound, Comp 66. I use this for a lot of tapping stuff. I also use it a lot to bring out some of the sort of graininess of my overdrives. From there into the VP Junior, which has a little polytune coming out, and it's always on so I can stay in tune. Out of the volume pedal, it goes into the EHX Pog 2, which I use for a few different settings. Into there, into this EHX small clone, which you'll notice the light is always on. There's some problem with the switch when I replaced it, but it doesn't bother me enough that I actually need to do anything about it. So it just, light stays on, and I keep track of whether or not it's on myself. From the small clone, it runs over here into the Pedal Monsters Bright Light Overdrive. This is a really nice, just kind of light overdrive tone. I use it a lot to just sort of chunk up a part without getting it into like really overdrivey bit. overdrive territory, but it also adds some really nice flair to other pedals that are on there. So into that is the Option 5 Destination Overdrive 2. Option 5 is also a local company here. The Jay Woods is the guy who designs and builds all the pedals. Great dude. I met him when I needed to fix my Deluxe Electric Mistress flanger pedal that I no longer have. But we just connected right away, and I love this overdrive so much. It is based on the circuit of a vintage Marshall head, and it is the only overdrive I've ever loved. I have 3 of them. I have them on both of the pedal boards that I put together for my church. It is a great, great, great overdrive. And that goes into this. Life is Unfair is the name of the brand, and the pedal is called The Dream Left Behind. It's got this rad dinosaur bone on it. This is a muff clone with one knob. The gain and the tone are just kind of stuck together. It's really wild. I really, really like it. I especially like it with the Destination Overdrive in front of it. From here, we come into the Electro Harmonix Deluxe Memory Man 550 tap tempo analog delay. I have had a Deluxe Memory Boy for most of my life. No, that is, as long as Spaceships has been a thing, the Memory Boy has been on my board. I just finally upgraded to this because the tone is a little brighter. It's a lot brighter than the Memory Boy. But I sold the Memory Boy to Brett, and so the Memory Boy will be staying in the Spaceships family. It's just a really great analog delay. It's got a tap tempo that then has subdivisions. It's got modulation on it. And then it also has this effects loop that I have running into the micropog over here, and that will raise each repeat up an octave, which is really cool. From the Memory Man, we go into the Boss Sy1 Synthesizer pedal. This is a newer effect that I couldn't really get a chance to... I haven't had a chance to put it in anything yet because I bought it for myself for my birthday in 2019, which is in December, and nobody's really had a whole lot of shows since December of 2019 that we had world kind of stopped a couple months after that, and so it does a whole lot of cool things. I'm still getting my head around it, but it is really great. From here, this comes into the Electro Harmonix Holy Grail reverb. This is stuck at the hall setting at about 2 o'clock, 1:30. That is almost always on. Just a nice full sort of hall sounding reverb that isn't quite overpowering. It's real great. I love it. I turn it off in a couple spots only. That goes into this Destination Reverb Deluxe, also from Option 5. This is actually the prototype model that Jay and I collaborated on. So the Destination Reverb Deluxe that is available is in a different chassis. It has some different features. This one, though, is the prototype that he was like, hey, you're a reverb guy, help me do this. And I was like, yeah, okay. And so this is like a spring reverb that is stretched out to its breaking point. And so it's kind of really modular and really cool. I love it because it has this effects loop that I had him add into it, and that goes into this small stone. And I love the small stone, but I feel like the depth of it is a little crazy, and so you lose a lot of your articulation when you on your clean signal when you play through the small stone. And so I just have that running into the reverb loop instead, and that will make the really washy phaser without losing my articulation. And there's also this infinite switch that is a latching switch that will turn the dwell knob, which is the feedback knob, all the way up, and it has this nice little self oscillation. Anybody might be thinking, oh, wait, hold on. Why are we talking about reverbs when we haven't talked about all the dirt yet? That's because I've got some of the dirt after these reverbs up here. From the destination reverb, it goes into the Proco Rat Ii. This is absolute classic distortion. It is on so many recordings. So many of your favorite bands use this pedal. Pretty sure Kevin Shields has one. I'm pretty sure either Tom York or Johnny Greenwood or Ed O'Brien have one. I'm pretty sure that anybody in Sonic Youth has one. Dinosaur Junior, like everybody's got this pedal. It is a classic fuzzy distortion pedal that is just so gnarly. I've got it after the analog delay and the reverbs because it just like sludges it out and just like makes it so dirty and great. And then into here, this is coming into the Nano Big Muff. I had the small muff for a bit. I've had a big box Big Muff, but they are enormous. The Nano Big Muff sounds the most like the classic NYC Big Muff that I just love so much. I have this tone all the way down. This is just a huge wash of noise. And that's really great. I've got that on like the guitar solo for Quicksand. I've got this on the like the end part of Floodplains. It is in the solo for Treasures, that slide guitar part. It's just a really great pedal. And so after all that, we're coming into this blank pedal, which is actually another Option 5 Destination Boost, which Jay had lying around the shop and didn't have a actual chassis for it. And so he just threw it in a blank for me. I'm going to laser cut something on here, but I haven't yet. From here, we move into the El Capistan D Tape Echo from Strymon. And this is an absolute beauty. For a long time, I have lusted after one of those Boss RE20 Space Echo units that they have. And I love it, and I've always wanted it. But then when I first played this, it just kind of took everything I loved about the Space Echo and just cranked it up. And so this is really, the articulation on this is really great. The wash on it, the tape age sort of acts as a tone knob. And then the wow and flutter is like a chorus sort of modulation, which gets kind of unpredictable if you go all the way up. But it's really nice. It is a super delicious pedal. And then that comes stereo out of here. And that I start running into the Line 6 DL4. Everybody's got this pedal. Everybody uses it. It is a classic for a reason. The only reason people talk crap about it is because they set theirs on fire, because they didn't use the right type of power supply. Use the right type of power supply, and this pedal will be your friend. There's some looping stuff that I use for it, not a whole lot. There's some new songs that have like some nice fun loop stuff that messes around with the time control that this has. Mostly I use this for a good stereo delay, and so I'll have my main setting on here has a dotted eighth going out to one channel and then a quarter note going out to the other channel, which is really fun. And then from here we go into the Strymon Big Sky, which is my baby. It is such a versatile reverb pedal. I typically like to use the Bloom setting on here, which is sort of like a really long ramp up to the reverb. And I use it so much that this preset is actually called Spaceship on here. And there are just so many things that you can do with this reverb. It also has like a freeze function if you press down on it. This one does too. I actually had a freeze for a while, traded it for a Super Ego, traded it for this. This is just a absolute killer pedal. It is worth all of the hype that it gets. Even if I only use one or two settings usually, I still would have felt completely satisfied for the price that I paid. All right. Coming stereo out of the board. First, one side goes to the Vox AC15. This is a classic amp. Everybody's got it. Everybody knows what it sounds like. The Beatles used one. Like, it's just this great chimey amp that has like a really nice kind of grit to it, especially when you're running all these pedals through it. I like it a whole lot. But then that runs stereo into this Gibson Falcon. And this is really one of my favorite amps I've ever played. For a bit, I was helping Jay out at Option 5 and just helping him do some repairs and stuff. And one of these came in, and he was like, hey, put that together and test it out and make sure it's working. And so I did that, and it sounded gorgeous. And I was like, oh, this is such a great amp. This is incredible. And he's like, awesome. Call the guy and tell him it's ready for him to pick it up. And saying goodbye to that amp was the hardest thing I've ever done gear-wise. And so as soon as I found one up on Craigslist, I just went over and made an offer and grabbed it. And it's beautiful. It's this bright, really kind of jazzy sort of amp tone. And I love it so much. And now I'm glad I bought it when I did, because now they're super expensive up on Reverb. All right, pedals out of the way. Let's talk guitars. My main guitar is this absolutely gorgeous Fender Jaguar. This is the made in Japan double humbucker version. I felt compelled one day to just go into Guitar Center and buy a Jaguar. I didn't know anything about this guitar, and I didn't totally understand what any of the knobs did. I just knew it looked killer. I love that tremolo bar, and like, I didn't even realize that it had a 3/4 scale neck, which was pointed out to me later on by someone who was like, how did you not notice this? But so it is super great, super versatile. It has humbuckers that are coil tapped, and then the coil tapping is actually sent to a blend knob on either of these little roller switches. And so I usually have it set to like a 75% single coil, 25% humbucker, which is real nice and slinky, like a single coil, but then it has a little bit of beef on it, which is really great. This is on most of the songs that we play. Next most commonly used guitar is this Fender Modern Player Starcaster. This is a great guitar. I threw a Bigsby on it when I got it. It has these great wide range pickups that Fender designed for it, and they always describe it as a throaty tone, which is like the best way that I can describe it as well. This is what I use a lot for the songs in drop D. So like, this is the guitar I play on Mountain and Son of Man, the track Parallel, and Pillars of Fire, of Cloud of Fire, of Salt on. It is gorgeous, got these F holes. It is just a great guitar. Now this here is an Epiphone Les Paul, which currently is actually not working because I tried to change out the pickups, but I am rubbish at changing pickups. So if you want to help, you can drop a link in the comments or something. But this is what I use for most of my bowing parts. Anything that I played a bow on. The Nativity record, which is, as of this recording, coming out this Friday, on Into the Sun, did that. It's got that nice arch top on it, which allows me to get the bow around it. Which is just really great, really fun. It's just real big and beefy. Does not sound like any of my other guitars at all, but it sounds really nice with a bow. On the complete other end of the tone spectrum is this made in Mexico Fender Telecaster. I don't think I've actually recorded with this, but I will play some shows on it. It is not a sound that I use a lot, but I do love it. So I actually thought about selling this a couple weeks ago, picked it up, and then in like 5 minutes was like, nah, I'm going to do that. It is maybe going to be on a track a little later, but Ben plays a Telecaster almost exclusively. So I don't want to be one of those bands, you know, especially if I used it capoed. Could you imagine? Here is the newest edition. This is the Squire modified custom baritone Jazzmaster, and you can see just how long that neck goes. This is a 30-inch scale. This is tuned a full string below standard, and it is pretty gnarly. Got a custom pick guard on there, got a matching strap on it. Call it the Flower Power guitar. Low-key trying to figure out how to put a vibrato system on there, but maybe I don't need that. All right, let's make some tones. Gonna start off with the Jaguar. And here is that clean tone, because this is a YouTube pedal show and you can't do anything without doing your clean tone first. So there it is. Get that Holy Grail always on. Yeah, okay, that's nice, that's nice, that's nice. So since I talked about it a whole lot and gushed over it, let's take a look at this Destination Overdrive reverb. It's just real nice, and it plays nice everywhere. Sloppy playing, I know, but whatever. Also comes alive really well with this, with the compressor on it too. So that's really the tone that I use for songs like Pomegranate. And yeah, don't worry about the noise. It all blends together, baby. Yeah, so that's real nice. The compressor is really good for tapping stuff. So, like, this is the solid ground tone, and I got that stereo delay going on. Usually it would be panned, but my little interface thing that I'm using to record into my phone doesn't seem to like panning stuff. Here's a second with that spaceship delay that I like so much. This is the bloom setting. You can tell how the reverb just sort of ramps up a whole lot. Even take the Holy Grail off to demonstrate it some more. So it really like ramps up there, which makes for a really nice washy reverb without taking out your tone, because you lose a lot of articulation with a lot of these like longer reverbs. As opposed to which I like it. Since I was talking about this too, this Destination Reverb Deluxe, you can hear like the wah 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 wah. Then with the loop, which really comes alive with this Holy Grail before it. This is the tone that I use on Monsters. Is that... This is really fun. I also am realizing right now that I completely blew past this Zoom Multi-Stomp 70 CDR, which is the most surprised I've ever been by any pedal, because growing up, everybody had a Zoom, and it was not great. You couldn't change anything. But this approximates a whole lots of different modulation pedals, some obviously chorus, because it's in the name, some phasers, some flangers, different delays and reverbs that are on there. My go-to is this ice delay, which is an approximation of Strymon. The Strymon timeline has a setting that is like a reverse octave up delay. It sounds really cool. I used to have an Eventide pitch factor that I used for this same sort of delay, but it really, that pedal was so noisy, and I was so power hungry, and I just had to get rid of it. And so I've gone through a few different iterations to find a pedal that does this effect, but it is this one. I sometimes do it like in the background to bring up like in Tiny Fires, I've got a... sort of add some shimmer to the atmosphere there. Also use it in Bright, in that little solo thing. So I actually have this bright lights on too. So that's really the setting that I use it the most for. It's got a whole bunch of other things in there as well. That's where it sort of lives on my board. Let's talk this Life is Unfair. Let me drop this down. And this... It's only one knob, but... And I actually got that before we recorded any of Pillars or Tiny Fires, but I have ended up using it live for a lot of those parts, because on the record I used the Rat for the chunky part in parallel. But this is just a little brighter. And it changes a whole lot depending on what you put into it. So if I throw the pedal monsters on as well, it also changes a lot with volume. Till it's almost in muddy overdrive at really low volumes. It's really fun. Like I said, it is a muff clone. But the tone on my muff is set so low that it's almost a completely different sound. Also makes a whole lot of difference between whether you're playing before, if you have the distortion before the reverb, or after the reverb. I really love what the Rat does to the reverb. But you don't always want that. And so I have it here at the end of my pre-verb dirt stage, just to, you know, keep it pretty close. But then also, if we want to get muddy and sludgy, throw the Memory Man on here too, which... So it's got, you know, you can hear those repeats pretty well. It's really cool. But then if you want to do like a... That's cool, but if you really want to sludge it up... And then you could get even more control, adding a long reverb after that. Washes it out in a nice way. Here's that Memory Man with the Pog. Which is really nice if you're using like a swell into it. So throw some reverb and the swell on the Pog up. Which you might say, hey, doesn't that just sound like what the ice delay is doing? And shut up. Shut up. It's different. It's different. Speaking of the Pog, what I've been using it mostly for is either this classic like whammy sound. Just that classic octave up. The swell. Which also, if you throw on like a overdrive on that and some reverb after, sounds sort of like a fake EBO. Even more with the Rat. Which is really great because I forget my EBO for a lot of shows. Then there's the classic octave down. Which I'll usually do for like if I want to do a really... Just make it sort of doomy. But then one of the things I've been messing around with a lot lately, where if you set the dry tone so the attack doesn't affect that, and then you have a slow attack on the octave effect, you get a really nice sort of pad sound. Which is real cool. Speaking of pads, here's that Sy1. Oh, this is on the sequencer setting. which is really gnarly. It's literally just a guitar part that I'm giving it. You can just give it one thing and it'll turn it into a sequence with automated bass, like synth bass and drum machine. Which is really cool. There's also a synth pad setting that I like a lot. I've been playing this live for like a lot of the sparser parts that we have, like in Safe. Yeah, it's real nice, real nice. Here's that Pedal Monsters. I messed around with it a little bit, didn't really show it by itself. So it's a subtle sort of overdrive. It's not overpowering. It's not anything big and beefy like the... But it's really good to do it sort of incrementally, like as a song builds. So like in Solid Ground, when I move from the tapping part, I'll throw this on. And so that's just a really fun sort of thing. But yeah, I think I've touched on everything. Man, if there's anything else that you want to see in this rig, there's a whole lot more I can talk about, but I'm just going to shut up and edit this video together. All right, folks, thanks for hanging with me. I know that was a lot. I just feel like I can talk about this for a long, long, long time. Yeah, if you got any questions, if you have any suggestions for other types of videos we can make, drop them in the comments. We're probably going to be in here with some run-throughs and some other stuff, some playthroughs. If you got any questions, theory-related or songwriting-related or gear-related, probably more applicably, drop them in the comments. Let me know, and hope to see you guys soon. Like and subscribe for whatever else we're going to do. So that's what you're supposed to say, I guess. So, peace.